What's up, everybody? I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com, and I got another movie to review for you guys. That would be The Rider. Now, this one stars Brady Jandreau as his real-life self, and this is based on when he busted his head through a rodeo accident because he is a rodeo horse rider. That is what he does, and he fell off the horse. The horse bucks him in the head and splits it open, so he has a head injury, so he has to recover from that and kind of realize that he may not be able to ride again, and so he has a lot to think about, and that's exactly what this movie is basing on that, real life story that he went through, and it also stars him and his father and his sister, by the way. But anyways, that's what the movie is about. It starts out with him getting a head injury, and we just kind of see his journey and self-discovery of what he wants to do next in life. So I actually didn't see a trailer. It's the first time in a long time where I did not see a trailer. I got an invite to see this, and I was like, I'm just going to go see this. I don't want to see anything about this. I just looked it up on IMDb before I saw the movie that day, and I wanted to see the plot synopsis, but other than that, I didn't see a trailer, whatever. And so I heard a lot of good things going into this because this actually came out, I believe, last year, and it was nominated for a Independent Spirit Award, which is great because, that showcases great independent films. And so if you were nominated for one of those, you must be good, right? Well, I saw this movie, and I like it. It's a solid movie. It's got some issues with it, and I'll get into those in just a second. But I think for the most part, it's a solid film about watching this underdog of sorts who was at once on top, has now fallen due to an injury, and now has to reevaluate his life and kind of just inch his way towards what he wants to do in life, because he probably realizes he can't do this again, even though he's super passionate about rodeo horse riding, or whatever it's called. I'm a dumb idiot. I don't know the specific terms, but I know they do the 8 seconds on horses and bulls, right? So I don't know what it's called, just rodeo riders. So let's get real and break this down. So this is a generally positive movie. I'm going to start with the negatives first. And I hate to say this because they seem like nice people, but I kind of have to, because I had the same issues with the 1517 to Paris earlier this year, so I got to address it. Brady Jandreau plays himself in the movie. His dad plays his dad in the movie, and his sister plays his sister in the movie. The real life people playing themselves in a fictional movie based on their lives. The father and the sister are fine, and then sometimes bad, where it's not like it's one of those cases where like they're just bad the whole way through. They do have some acting chops. I do think relying on the real life people does add this kind of this raw intensity that you would want from this type of story when you're dealing with such heavy thematic elements here. And so for the most part, they're fine. The father is a little worse. When he tries to do his dramatic scenes, it's kind of like he's just forcing the lines out. I get it, they're not trained actors, but if you're going to do this, you need to train them somewhat and see if you can try to get the best performance you can out of them. So the dad's a little worse than the sister, but I think for the most part, them and everyone else around the town that they go and visit, they're just okay to kind of bad. It's just like the acting's just kind of stiff and stale. But you know what? Brady Jandreau is a positive, and I'll get to that in my positives. So the acting outside of him are all kind of like low-level actors or real people that, the director cast, and it's just, it doesn't really work. Some of their line deliveries are really bad, and some of the dialogue that they have to spew is very, very generic, and it doesn't really have any punch to it, so it almost seems like they're just line reading to us, and I don't want that to be the case, because this is one of those kind of rich stories that you want to see kind of blossom from the acting and the writing, and just, some of it was a little off-putting, but there were some moments that were really good, but I have to point out the acting. It's kind of whatever. Another negative is, and this is actually my final negative, is that the movie's too long. It's an hour and 44 minutes, and it stretches out this idea that on paper sounds great, where this guy gets into an accident, doing what he loves, he's injured, and he's got to slowly recover. Finding his passion back again, talking to the people around him, asking for advice, self-reflecting on what he wants to do. That's a good story. But the problem is, it seems too long. It drags out, and it almost seems to get repetitive, where it's like every scene is just Brady sulking. Next scene, having fun, slightly talking to people. Oh, are you going to road again? I don't know. Sulk. And it just kind of repeats itself, and it's like, okay, we got some nuggets of goodness here, but I think for the most part, this would have worked better as a short story. Who knows? I could be wrong. I've written scripts in my life, but they're all terrible. So I don't know how story structure works. But I can tell you as an audience member, it does not work as an hour-and-a-half movie. You stretched it way too thin, and it seems too long and almost kind of boring in some spots, to where I think if you would have chopped it down, make it more of a short film, it probably would have been more potent for the message that you were trying to deliver. Let's get into the positives. Brady Jandreau. Even though he's playing himself, there were a couple moments where his line delivery was not good, but I think for the most part, he nailed the face acting down. He nailed this kind of like really sad, individual that just has had this traumatic thing happen to him, and he's just confused. He doesn't know what to do, and I thought he really captured all these complex emotions in his face alone, and I really enjoyed that aspect about the movie, because I felt for him. It's like we've all been passionate about stuff, and sometimes our passions can get physical, and we might get injured, and we can't do that anymore. And so I get that, and it was very relatable to connect with him because he's playing himself, and I really kind of felt that, and he was the heart of this movie, even though he made some dumb decisions sometimes. I get where he's coming from, because he's so passionate about what he does. He will do anything at all costs to do it again, even though he knows in the back of his mind it may not work out. A couple other things I really liked. The music. The music was really good. It was very sweeping, very somber, very epic when it wanted to be. And I thought it really kind of helped the actors propel their performances up just a little bit, kind of lift them up as a supporting actor itself to make their acting a little bit more believable. So I will say that the music really helped out the actors around this movie. The cinematography is gorgeous. It's very beautiful, very Western-like, very, you can pause a frame, print it out, and that is your painting. I love Westerns. They have some of the most crisp, clean, beautiful, sweeping cinematography. This one isn't like epic cinematography, but it's nice and clean. It's crisp. It's got these very mute gray colors that kind of go throughout the movie, but they really kind of play well with the brightness of the sun and the grass and the silhouettes of the mountains at night. I don't know, I thought it was a really beautiful looking movie, and especially if you did get bored watching the repetitiveness sometimes, the actual visual element to this movie is really good. Another thing I really liked is the actual story. I do like the fact that this guy was on top, Brady, and he gets injured. He's hurt, and he's got to climb back up to the top. I love that stuff. I love these kind of like underdog type of stories, and he's got family problems at home. I saw that tension with his dad. I see the tension he has with his friends and his sister and one of his other brothers who was also injured. It's just there's a lot of pain going on through this guy, and I just wanted him to succeed. And of course, this movie does get very dark in a couple times. I was actually kind of surprised at how dark it got. But even though he's pushed to his limit several times, it's like he kept going, and I love that triumphant type of main character you get in stories. And so I thought the story was really good. It just way too long for its own good. And speaking of the dark stuff, and I thought about this because I saw this 24 hours ago, so I've had time to think about it. There is one dark scene, like very dark, that I don't really know if it was necessary, because once it happens, it is shocking. And then there's a little speech that Brady has telling his sister, kind of comparing, his tragedy to what just happened. And I get it, but I don't know. It's it's two separate things. I don't know. It's really hard to do without spoiling, and maybe I'm wrong. You guys can call me an idiot down below, but it's whatever. But I think overall, this is a solid film. It's not nothing I want to watch again, but I liked it enough, even though I do have problems with it. So I'm going to give the writer a very strong B-. I think that's a perfect grade to kind of slip that movie in there. So What did you think about the rider? Have you even heard of it? What is the actual profession called when they rodeo ride the horses? Tell me down below. Tell me all that down below. And as always, guys, I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com. And tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.